We are unspinning today's political headlines with our analysts, Bill McCoshen, partner at Michael Best Strategies, and of course, Democratic strategist Nicole Safar. Thank you so much for being with us. We're going to start with probably the biggest political story for the last month. The government shut down 3 weeks already, entering the fourth week. It almost feels like we may be farther than we've ever been from a solution right now. What is it going to take from lawmakers? How do you think it's gone so far?
Well, I think when you look at how regular people are viewing the shutdown right now, they know three things. They know Donald Trump is the president, they know that Republicans control Congress, and they know that Democrats' top priority is affordable health care. So with that as the construct, it really seems like Republicans are going to have to be the ones to solve this problem. Like you said, we're going into the fourth week. For a lot of people who aren't federal workers or working on government contracts, they haven't yet felt the impact of it. But that's going to change quickly as federal workers continue to work without pay. I flew through a couple of airports over the weekend. TSA is there, unpaid, and that's not going to last forever. So I think that this is really on Republicans to try and solve sooner rather than later. And Democrats kind of can sit back and see what they're going to do. Donald Trump has shown himself to be he negotiates in bad faith. He says he's going to fire federal workers and government programs, but he's already done those things. So he doesn't really have any leverage over Democrats to force them to the table.
We're actually going to agree. Rather than be held over a barrel for $1 billion or $1.5 trillion in new spending, which is what Democrats want, I think the Republicans ought to do the nuclear option, break the filibuster, and pass it without Democrats. And as soon as they pass it, I think they ought to pass budget reform that Senator Ron Johnson has asked for, which is the same as Wisconsin. When we don't get a new budget passed, we continue to operate at the old levels. That's the way it should be in D.C. I wouldn't deal with Democrats on this. I wouldn't negotiate with them. I would break the filibuster and get this done.
So it sounds like both sides, you want the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster. You're saying Democrats can just sit back. It doesn't sound like both sides really.
I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think by next week, by November 1st, people are going to start to feel this, and it's going to be a very big problem for everybody.
And to do that, Republicans are going to have to come back to work. So we've got federal workers who are showing up every day with no pay, but the Republicans in Congress are staying home and getting paid.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the race for Wisconsin Attorney General has a new candidate, as Fond du Lac DA Eric Toney has now joined the race. Is that significant? Bill, I'll start with you. I know he lost to Josh Kaul in 2022. This is a bigger race than it has been in the past.
I think it's a very big race. And the big difference between the last race and this race is we have an open gubernatorial race for the first time. Generally, the AG's race tracks with the governor's race. So if a Republican wins the gubernatorial race, a Republican generally wins the AG race. So the odds are better for Eric Toney. He's a good, strong candidate. I don't think he's going to have a primary. He's well-known statewide. He's already been out there. So, and he only lost by 35,000 votes. So I think he's going to give Josh Kaul all he can handle for sure.
You know, I think that this election that's coming up in 2026 is really going to be in the shadow of the issues that are happening nationally. And what voters are going to be thinking about is access to health care, access to reproductive health care, and whether or not Congress or the court system are holding Donald Trump accountable. And I think that gives Josh Kaul a really strong starting place because his office has done a lot to protect both access to health care, access to reproductive health care, and trying to hold the president accountable.
And we have seen Josh Kaul join a lot of the federal lawsuits against President Trump. So, I think
it'll be a clear choice.
Raise the race. Thank you both.
Should be good.
As always, thank you.